Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. On December the 10th, 2022, on the platform of the Creative Society Project, Muslims from many countries of the world organized and held an unprecedented international online conference, Global Crisis, Who's the Prophet Muhammad for Us? Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. This conference was simultaneously interpreted into 70 languages of the world and broadcast on thousands of media platforms. This is really a landmark event for the world of Islam, as it is the first time in 14 centuries that we Muslims have been able to come together and voice all that we care about, all that we see, feel, and know. One of the main reasons for organizing and holding this conference was the obvious escalation of climate disasters around the world: earthquakes, floods, tornadoes, sinkholes, and so on. Each of us sees and understands that we are witnessing all the signs of the day of judgment predicted by our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. And this means that we, the last ones, have an enormous responsibility for the future of all humankind. This conference was an honest talk by those who understand the seriousness of the situation and are ready to take responsibility and fulfill the covenant of our Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. But where there should be billions, the few will not cope. Therefore, through this conference, Muslims have called for unity. The conference was also an occasion to remember everything that our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, taught us, to remember what kind of world he began to build 14 centuries ago, a world of brotherhood, unity, equality, and of course justice, a world of love and mercy in human beings. Why haven't we, 14 centuries later, built such a safe and happy world for every person? The answers to these and other questions were announced at this conference. And today, in continuation of this conference, we are holding a round table. Today's participants of the round table are Daulet from Kazakhstan,
Assalamu alaikum.
Sabuhi from Azerbaijan,
Assalamu alaikum.
Альмира из Казахстана.
Almira from Kazakhstan,
Hello.
И я, Камила,
and
из
I'm
Узбекистана.
Camila from Uzbekistan. Daulet, I pass the floor to you.
Спасибо, Камила. Все мы знаем, что
Thank you, Camila. We all know that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, brought to this world priceless knowledge of how each of us can live in peace and harmony. But as we can see, there is no peace among people. The value of this conference is enormous, because for the first time, people have begun to openly share their understanding of how we, the whole of the humankind, can build a society that our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, dreamed of. And to do this, we need to look honestly into each other's eyes, to understand where we went wrong, and how we can all return together to the true path that leads to brotherhood and unity. Thanks to this conference, at last people are beginning to turn their faces to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, turning away from those who used Islam, desiring power and profit, that the Ummah would be their slaves and serve the Shaitan. The masses of people are beginning to turn toward the Prophet, peace be upon him, and this unites the Ummah. In fact, there are only two directions in Islam: those who follow the Prophet, peace be upon him, and those who go against the Prophet. The real Ummah is those who follow the Prophet, peace be upon him. But if there is another Ummah, it's only the Ummah of Shaitan. It is the Ummah of Prophet, peace be upon him. There can be no other. We tell the truth in plain language. We tell the truth But the truth pisses some people off because they have demons in them. And now, when the truth is spoken, they understand perfectly well that people are turning their faces to our Prophet, turning away from their ordinary mortal people who are ruled by the shaitan. This frightens them, and they say it's schism in Ummah. What kind of schism? Regardless of whether you belong to the Sunnis or Shias, you are now turning your face toward the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Ey Müslümanlar,
Muslims,
bir düşünün.
think about it.
Bu həqiqətdir.
It's true.
Və bu haqda siz
And
özünüz bir fikir
you should ponder about it yourself.
Peyğəmbər sallallahu aleyhi və səlləm
How did the Prophet, peace be upon him, meet Umar, a man who wanted to burn the house of his beloved daughter, and said that this is better for people than what the Prophet, peace be upon him, did? It was Umar who hit Fatima,
Ömər idi.
the beloved daughter of the Prophet, peace be upon him,
Övladını itirdi.
and because of which
Və tezliklə
she lost her child and soon died.
fikir verin.
Think about it. Umar
Muhammed Peyğəmbər
is the man who killed the unborn grandson of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Ömər nəyə görə
What did Umar hope for?
cavab verin?
Answer this.
Ağlı başında olan
How can a sane person
sağlığında
even imagine that Umar would go to heaven during his lifetime?
bəs orada onu kim
And who will meet him there?
sağlığında o
During his lifetime,
çünki
he was worthy of hell because the Prophet, peace be upon him, cursed him first and cursed everyone who followed him.
Peyğəmbərə qarşı çıxan
What should be done by anyone who went against the Prophet, peace be upon him?
indi şeytandan
First of all,
çevirərək
Now,
Peyğəmbərə
we should turn the face to him,
nə sünni,
turning away from the
nə
shaitan.
şiə,
There are no Sunnis or Shias, no one. There are only followers of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and those who go against him.
bu həqiqət.
This is the truth.
Есть одна умма, умма пророка.
There is one Ummah, the Ummah of the Prophet, who loves him, respects him, and honors him. And there can be no one between Allah, the Prophet, and humans, no one. We learned about Allah because of the Prophet. He gave us a short way. And here someone comes between us and teaches us something. The other day I had to talk to such a person. He has been learning something for 7 years. Can't you learn the truth in 7 years? What does he teach people? How to lie? How to follow the murderer to the beloved daughter and grandson of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and with people. Yes, there is something to learn in 7 years. How to deceive people without telling them the truth. It really needs to be learned, because initially everything is simple. There is Allah, there is the Prophet, and there is us. And to break this chain, you need a lot of tricks from Shaitan, which you can learn for 20 years, to fool people in 20 years to learn to remember the Prophet and his importance. Think about it. If you follow the Shaitan, will they let you into heaven? Just honestly answer yourself this question. If you're mean at taking people or not, are you going to be welcomed by the Prophet? For what? For lying? For an abomination? The Prophet was merciful, even to his enemies, and taught us that. And those who frighten us and say that Ummah is right, this is nonsense. They say those who are afraid of the Prophet. And those who love the Prophet, they are glad that the truth has finally begun to sound. At the conference, the pure truth was voiced, not a split in the Ummah. It is following the Prophet, not them. And this they're scared about.
Muslims also often have this question. If the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, knew that Umar was a traitor, why didn't he fence off Islam and himself from him? Because the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, knew that it was like a hydra. If you cut off one hand, new ones will appear. After banishing Umar, the shaitan would send in new traitors. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, knew this, and he openly told the people, do not follow Umar.
Sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem
The Prophet,
seçim
peace and
etmeyi
blessings of Allah be
insanların
upon him,
bilmesine bırak.
left the choice to the
Ve
people.
insanlar
And what the people
ne seçtiyse
chose
onu da
was
kazandı.
what they got.
Bu adaletli ve düzgündü.
This is fair and
O
right.
peygamber idi ve yaxşı bilirdi ki
He was the Prophet, peace be upon him, and he knew perfectly well that if he had thrown Umar out, 10 Umars would have come in his place.
Fatimənin başına nə gələcəyini
The
bilirdi.
Prophet, peace be upon him, knew what would happen to the Ummah. He knew what would happen to Fatima. He knew that this traitor Umar would cause the death of his beloved daughter.
Axır zamanda
But the Prophet, peace be upon him,
ortaya çıxsın.
got through this because he hoped for the last,
Axır zaman
so that
gəldi.
in the last times there would be those who would save the world.
Onun güvənərək getdikləri
Question: the last times have come, and where are the saviors of the world? Where are those for whom he have committed himself to, for the sake of whom he gave up his own daughter, although he could have cut off Umar's head with one swing of his sword, and his daughter would be alive, and Ali would become what he was meant to be. But then Ali would have had to face many enemies, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, understood this too. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, did it for our sake, for the sake of those in whom he have placed all his hopes. Look at the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him, how much attention he paid to the last ones, how much he talked about them, and what hopes he had for us. Where are we, the last ones? Are we following Imam Mahdi? Do we follow our Prophet, peace be upon him? Where is our united Ummah? Where are we, Muslims? The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was an example of mercy. Umar did not give a hoot. He could have cut off anyone's head. But the Prophet, peace be upon him, showed mercy even to his enemies. The Prophet, peace be upon him, remained the Prophet to the last, and showed by his example what a true Muslim should be. For the sake of a better world, and for the hope of saving the whole world, all humankind, he left things as they were for the purpose of edifying others, and for us to reflect on what we should be. After all, this is the truth.
Спасибо, Сабухи.
Thank you, Sabuhi. Indeed, the conference itself considered the theme of the lost ones, that is, those who in the end times will unite to bring back the purity and beauty of Islam, to bring back the truth that was brought here by the last prophet of the one Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. And this truth was voiced at the conference simultaneously in 70 languages of the world. For some people, this truth causes rejection, aggression, but that does not mean that they will succeed in shutting up those who speak the truth this time too. We must realize that we, all of humanity, are now on the brink of death from catastrophic climate change, and only the truth and our unification can save us. Doomsday is so close that scientists have been able to calculate its mathematical model. This model was also presented at the conference, and scientists voiced that if we humans do nothing, then our planet will die no later than October 2036. But at the end of 2028, life on our planet will be unbearable. Just think for a moment that our relatively comfortable lives are counting down. A legitimate question arises: what can we do against the climate? The answer to this question is also found in the precepts of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. It is the unification of all people, regardless of our religion, social status, skin color, place of residence. If we all want to live a decent human life, then we must unite with the whole world and build a society, the foundation of which was laid in the Medina Agreement by the Prophet himself, peace and blessings of Allah. Speaking in modern terms, we must build a creative society. The creative society was also discussed in great detail at the conference Global Crisis, whose the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ for us.
Yes, it is so, because the creative society is completely built upon those truths and wisdoms that the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, gave to the world. Why do we say that the creative society is the society that the Prophet, may peace be upon him, dreamt of? Because the greatest of all humans showed by his example throughout all his life that one should take care of every person. And the Prophet's entire life is an example of that each person is responsible for the whole society, and the whole society should take care of each person, because each person's life is of the highest value. But life is meaningless if there is no freedom in it. That is why the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, defended the right of every person to freedom of choice, belief, education, movement, and labor. He gave his life for it. He sacrificed the lives of the very close people to him. And all this he did so that we, the last ones, could unite and build a society that lives in peace, creation, and brotherhood. And now, in the face of the Judgment Day, the responsibility for each of us, for the future of all humankind, is enormous. Will each of us be able to overcome the shaitan in ourselves? Will we be able to distinguish the truth from the lie? Will we be able to do our best to unite all of humankind literally? Will have a future or not? Will the day of judgment come, or will Allah, seeing our unity, rejoice in our deeds and give us thousands of years of wonderful life? What will we choose?
Everyone who watches the conference will understand and feel that it was Shaitan who divided us through the polytheists who intervened and changed everything. And our task as the last ones, about whom the last prophet of the one Allah spoke, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is to return everything to its place. The time has come for us to become the one Ummah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. This is an enormous responsibility on every true Muslim. We need to put aside all ambitions, all strife, all divisions, and come together as one Ummah. Stop dividing Islam into teachings, currents, and finally follow the direct path of the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him.
Мы призываем всех, кто
We
уверовал
encourage everyone who believes in Allah and in His last messenger Muhammad, peace be upon him, to spread this information with their friends, relatives, loved ones, everyone who is not indifferent to what we say. We encourage everyone to spread this information. Thank you.
Dear Muslims, in order to unite the Ummah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, which is divided into tariqats, an international conference, Global Crisis, who is the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, for us was held. I invite you to watch this conference. This conference gives an unbiased and reasoned voice to the truths that have caused the Ummah to be divided. Dear Muslims, if your goal in becoming a Muslim is really to be faithful to Allah, to reach the love of Allah, and to be with the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the paradise, then stop defending your tariqats and stop defending people who have made mistakes in history. Watch this conference and open your heart to the truth. The time has come for us to become one Ummah.
Дорогие братья и сестры, конференция «Глобальный кризис».
Dear brothers and sisters, the conference Global Crisis, Who is the Prophet Muhammad for Us, may peace be upon him, carries the most important grain of truth that we all need to unite. It is all the more important to do so in the face of the coming natural disasters and cataclysms and the doomsday. And the conference sheds the light on the most fundamental problem that exists between us right now. This is our division. Watch the conference and share it. And let's take the most important step of our lives. Come together and build the society that the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, dreamt of. The creative society, because the society which he dreamt of, it will make us really happy. And the most importantly, it will help us to survive in these extremely difficult conditions in which he spoke. Let's unite and be faithful to Allah. Thank you.